We're live. We're live. Hi there. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Dr. Lori.
Hello, how are
How you doing?
you? I'm good,
Very
thank you.
good. I am so happy to be here. We are here. We are here from Mora Medical. Dr. Lori and I am Dr. Rock. We both are lifestyle medicine physicians. We help people make dramatic improvement in their health through lifestyle changes, through taking control of your lifestyle habits. That's what we do here at Mora Medical. You can find us at Mora, Mora.com. We are a telehealth, so we can see you from the comfort of your own home. And we're seeing people in many different states now. It's ever growing. So if you're in New York or Texas or Florida or California, Utah, Maine, Colorado,
Indiana,
um, Indiana,
Ohio.
Pennsylvania. There you go.
Yep.
I think I'm going to have to start spelling out all these. Go to our website and learn. And insurance. So you can, and there's also a cash pay option. So happy to um, field any questions during this live stream as well. We're here every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so if you have any lifestyle medicine related questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And today, Dr. Lori, I thought we would
Yes.
talk about motivation and movement, and those two together in particular. So we'll
Okay.
sort of break that down. But motivation, our motivation to get up and move our body, and some people call that exercise. But at Mora, we're fond of calling it movement, and we'll get into that as well. So I start off the conversation with maybe talking about motivation, because I know that's a very favorite topic of yours.
Yes, yes. And if you were wondering what I was looking down, I was sharing our live for some groups. So people, I'm not trying to
That's
be rude.
great.
I was just trying to share the message. So please share
Yeah,
this link. And if you
likewise.
want
Dr.
to,
Lori's totally ignoring me. She's like, she said she'd come for the live stream and she's just on her phone. No, yeah, you're sharing
I
this
was just
live stream. If you're watching it live, thank you. If you're watching it recorded, I know many people watch it recorded. I think it's also becoming occasional episodes of your podcast, Dr.
yes,
Lori.
yes, yes. So when I'm I am unable to secure a guest or traveling, Jonathan makes this episode part of the podcast,
Wonderful,
which is even fun too.
wonderful. So if you,
Yeah, and on the YouTube, share the links, please. Just share to whomever and all who you think would be available. And we also have a free course, by the way. If you go to Mora.com, we have a free course all about lifestyle medicine, how you can lose weight, get well. Check it out. It's awesome. It's made by our amazing team. You just go and click on, I think, resources up there at the top. It'll say something. I hear your puppies. Um,
oh, you,
but
my dog,
it's all good. But as
somebody's
far
delivered.
as getting back to motivation and movement, and I really think this is important to understand. We had just mentioned prior to our starting about BJ Fogg work, and I think it's a really good starting point to know that you can do things and become the designer of your own life, right? You can
Hmm.
design your habits, you can design your behaviors. And there's multiple
Hmm.
things that I can go down many rabbit holes, but we'll get the big picture here with BJ Fogg's work, who I adore. And there is a fun story that I loved his work so much. I literally paid a lot of money to go to a class for him and met him and had him on the podcast. Just it was well worth it. It was amazing. Anyway, so to understand what is behavior. So behavior requires three elements, right? So there's motivation, the ability to do something, and a
Hmm.
prompt or a trigger. And that would make
Hmm.
sense, right? So you can take any behavior, and I don't care what behavior it is, any behavior. For example, um, I like to use going to the bathroom. It's a behavior we all have to engage in. So if you have to go to the bathroom, that's your prompt, right? There's a bladder's like, gotta pay attention, I gotta go. You have the ability, there's facilities in your area, and motivation. Well, I don't really necessarily want to have an accident. So those
That's
are those
right.
three pieces, right? But even if you had motivation to go, or, whoops, like for example, when I was a kid, my mom would say, go to the bathroom before we leave. There's your motivation, right? Your mom's saying, and you had the ability, but you're like, I don't have the prompt. I don't really need to go.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, you're down the road and you had to go, right? So those are the kind of things that we talk about. So when you think about movement, that's the same idea. Motivation, I call it a finicky friend, a finicky lover, whatever. It'll come when it wants, it goes when it wants, it stays for as long. You can't really say. You can do things to increase your motivation. For example, self-talk, positive self-talk to get you ready and hooked up. But when the motivation wanes, you can move those other levers. It's the ability. Make something super easy when you have low motivation. And when you have high motivation, you can do something that's harder. So low motivation, don't want to move. Well, why don't we just, I think I just lost the rock. So I guess I'll talk to myself. Low motivation, let's make the ability very easy, right? Let's move just around the block, maybe just walking around the block versus something that's hard, like running a half marathon. That's a little bit harder. It's going to, it's high motivation, but you could actually maybe do something that's harder because you have higher motivation, or do some type of other type of difficult feat. And maybe Rock's trying to come back on. Oh, there's Rock. I was like, I was by myself.
Good. Yeah, I don't know what happened. My thing just crashed. The whole window just disappeared.
No problem.
I'm back.
I was just saying that you can measure, you can move your ability lever in order when you have
That's
high
right.
and low motivation.
Right.
So I'll leave that to you.
So yeah. So actually, what I hear you say, and that you're talking about, and it's what BJ Fogg calls his method, is tiny habits, right? Is the importance of starting small. I talk about this with myself, first of all the time, but with patients all the time. Because right when you're talking about how you can adjust motivation, that maybe we'll get to that, but that's a little harder. There are levers for that we could talk about, but adjusting the ability, that's, and so if because what happens normally around New Year's is people, right, they line up at the treadmill at the gym. I did this. I used to do this for a week or two. You go the third week in January, and so people may be feeling more motivated in that moment because it's New Year's. I want to get my resolution going. But are they doing things that they can necessarily continue to do? And inherent in that question, I think, is not just starting small, but we can talk about this maybe, like starting and doing something you enjoy. Right. And that, I think, also pushes the motivation lever a little bit, right? Because if it's something you look forward to, then you're going to want to do it more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because if you enjoy it, there's a dopamine effect, right? So then you're just feeding into the loop, the habit loop. And in partner with that, is it something you enjoy? Is it easy to do? Can you see progression, right? And the other piece is there any way that you can connect social aspects to it? So versus dancing by yourself, or dancing, going to a dance group or something like that, exercising by yourself, or maybe exercising with a group or partner, because that accountability, the social aspect of that will also increase the enjoyment factor. Because nobody wants to go do, an obstacle course by themselves. It's the excitement of conquering the things together. That's why they have teams.
That's right.
That's joy, honestly, because there ain't no way I'm going to go climb a wall and jump over mud and through fire, which I've done in obstacle courses. But, I'm not, it's way more fun when you have a team. And that comes from even my own experience in the military. You're doing these obstacle courses as you're paired up as partners or teams, and there's competition. It doesn't matter if I break a leg, we're going to keep moving. Keep going. So it's the idea.
Yeah. Why did you bring up obstacle course?
Because I think it's hard, right?
Yeah.
So for the training, for example, the hardest one I did was a Tough Mudder in Colorado. It was 11 miles up in the mountains in Snowmass.
Yeah.
And, I was in my 40s. And so I had my kids, signed everyone up, and it was more fun to cheer them on. And for me, it was the moment of saying, I'm someone's mom. My kids and I are both doing this. They're adults, and I'm doing this too. So that was really cool for me. I'm trying to get to be the coolest mom ever lived. I'm really trying hard. Anyway, but it's just that piece of it, right? Being with loved ones and other team members. And
No,
Yeah.
you may not know this, but that is a hobby of mine as well.
Oh, I've seen your Spartan bandanas and on your Facebook. That's
I
amazing.
just did a race a couple weeks ago. As you were saying, or like, because I spent the greater part of the months before that just trying to recruit a friend because I was like, I don't want to do this alone. No, I used to be a part of this gym, and that's how I got into it. And people were
Ah,
doing it as a group. And the first one I
yep,
did, I was just sort of like infected. It was infectious. Like that group,
yep,
we were climbing over walls together,
yep,
and then I did several more. This was in 2018, 2019. I did several more, uh, 8 mile, 9, and then I did one that was 13 miles in Seattle. I traveled to it, and
yep.
I wasn't like great at these. That was
That.
part of the thrill, though. Was like I could see myself getting better, and
Oh
then the
yeah,
pandemic came, and I stopped doing it. But I was like really been itching to
yeah.
get back to it. So it was so much. And here's the thing about it. That's like you said, it's not easy. It's hard.
Hmm.
And we talk about starting small and doing things easy. That's when you're starting,
Hmm.
right? And that's when you're starting anything. Doesn't
Hmm.
mean you don't do hard things. In fact, you do hard things not because they're easy. You do them because we've talked about this. I think were you on that one of
I
the
don't.
weeks
I'm.
recently?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't remember, but we do hard things because it feels good, because it ties
Yeah.
into our life's purpose,
Yep.
and that actually increases motivation anyway.
Yep.
So we use that obstacle
Absolutely.
course days. I'm like, oh, is she mentioning it? But I had no idea. That's so cool. We have something in
No, I've done
common. So
Spartans and Tough Mudders, and
yes.
I think when you like, for example, heights. I gotta think about heights.
Hmm.
So there was a platform you have to jump off of. If I
Yeah.
hadn't seen other people jumping off this thing and my kids going, "Go, mom, go, mom, go, mom," I would have
That's
not
it.
jumped off the platform.
That's it.
I'm like, it's 20 feet high. I'm dumping into this pond. But I did it because I'm like that, and it pushed me. And at the end of it, I felt so proud, right? Because I'm like, "Nee, Laura, you
Yeah.
did it. You accomplished
Yeah.
it." Or
Yeah.
running through the fire. You're like, "Oh my heavens," which
Yeah.
is less scary to me,
That's
by the
awesome.
way, than jumping off that platform by far,
It's like Tony
by far.
Robbins. You're like stepping on. Um,
Exactly.
That's cool. Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to sort of bring up was just this idea before you even start moving is sort of asking yourself. We always talk about this at Mora, like
Yeah.
asking yourself, like, why am I doing this? Like, why is it important to me? How does this tie into my greater life goals, aspirations, and my kind of aspirational self identity?
Mm, yeah, absolutely. I think the why is really important. So those days that it's really hard,
That's
that you go back to your why and say that's why. And that will give you that little bit of extra oomph. And anything that you do hard, I'm sure if people go back in their memories or their experience, things that, because we've all done hard things. What is that hard
that's
thing
right.
in your life that you hit? There was friction or some type of
Mm,
a obstacle you had to overcome to do.
mm,
What was that got you over it? How did you
mm.
how did you tune into the motivation?
That's right.
Clear out all the fuzziness and say, I'm tuning in. I need you right now. And it showed up. And how did that happen? It was probably because the
Mm,
greater reason why you were doing something. You were going
that's
towards
right.
the destiny of, accomplishing it. So yeah,
Mm.
that's been my experience anyway.
I love that you're using your own example to inspire yourself. It's like you're inspiring
Mm,
yourself. That's
mm,
that's that's beautiful. Yeah.
that's nice. Yeah, I like how you say that for sure. Mm.
Hmm.
Oh, we got a question here though.
Oh, we do have a question. Let's see.
So excited we
So
get a question.
I am discouraged. Okay, so Rosemary says, I'm discouraged because after 6 months of entirely vegan and mostly whole food plant-based, my cholesterol did not go down. I hear so many stories on your YouTube and I feel like a failure.
Oh, okay.
Rosemary, any advice? Oh,
Anything you'd like to say to her, Rock?
yeah. Well, first of all, Rosemary, I want to say that, it's very brave of you to acknowledge how you're feeling and to share it. And what you're feeling is, disappointment because you've been working very hard. You've been doing this for 6 months and you see so many other people. We share stories through our all different ways about people having these transformations, and you're sort of asking yourself, where's my transformation? Actually, my cholesterol went up, so that's frustrating. And 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 in saying that, you're saying you feel like a failure, and I know you're not the only one that will go into this journey and do things really well and not initially or at some point not see the results. They're sort of saying, why is it not happening for me? And yeah, and that makes you feel disappointed. Yeah.
So this gets
Lori,
to, yeah, no, I was just going to say, Rosemary, there's could be several things occurring, and to acknowledge, yes, you're on the right track. So don't feel like you're in the wrong, because there's so many more benefits beyond cholesterol that you're going to be getting from a whole food plant-based diet, right? So you're increasing your longevity, you're decreasing risk for metabolic disease, heart disease, all sorts of stuff. Your gut bacteria is super happy, and they're decreasing inflammation and decreasing risk for other chronic diseases. So please, own the fact that you are doing good for your body in many, many ways. Now, the cholesterol is one biometric, yes, and there's some things that we have to look at that are really stubborn for some folks. So this could be a genetic issue. So is there a history of high cholesterol in your family? Maybe that's the significant issue. When you say mostly whole food plant-based diet, that's where sometimes even that little bit of fudging or not quite whole food plant-based diet could be the issue. And unfortunately, some people have to be super duper stringent. And if you have to be, then it becomes a discussion of how high is your cholesterol? How much do you want to be really stringent on a whole food plant-based diet versus is there an indication for a medication? And maybe that's appropriate. We also have a cholesterol lowering protocol. I don't know if you're one of our patients, but that's where if you're in one of our states, I would have you engage with one of our docs and, discuss what you can do supplementarily, supplement that as well, like certain foods, like soy products. You could increase and add in amla, berberine, ground flaxseed. So lots of different things that we can do in the diet as well. And then sometimes it requires people to have a significant weight loss before they'll see some changes as well, because there is some other things occurring. In addition, if your thyroid's out of whack, if you have hypothyroidism and your adjustment needs to be made, sometimes you'll see an elevation in your cholesterol. And as you get, I'm only speaking because I'm hypothyroid, and so I feel well versed in all the things that the thyroid can mess with, and having worked with thousands of patients, that would be a piece as well. So don't feel like you're a failure. You're absolutely not a failure. You're winning just because you've made the choice and you are investing in your health. And two, like I said, there's many, many personalized things that we can now look at where you're at and, make it even more customized and really help you get down that success pathway. And that's where the expertise of our doctors comes in.
Yeah, I hear that. I think what you're saying, and Rosemary, it sounds like you have worked really hard to make plant-based eating a standard in your life, and there is perhaps an opportunity to optimize now. And so, right? And so the optimization piece will include all the things Dr. Lori is. If you aren't a patient of ours, I'm in Missouri, so I won't be able to join you. Hopefully soon, we're growing, but going to see the doctor tomorrow and he wants me on statins. I've definitely lost weight, but I'm still overweight. So as to whether or not to start statins, it'll depend on a variety of things like your family history and other risk factors and your actual level. And just like Dr. Laura is saying, if you have maybe a predisposition to having higher cholesterol, but that would be a conversation to have with your doctor. But I think your lifestyle changes are definitely fueling your best health. Just like Dr. Lori said, you're going to get all sorts of other benefits. Because as we love to say, there isn't a separate lifestyle medicine for diabetes and for high cholesterol and for cancer and for it's the same exact lifestyle medicine. medicine. The pharmaceutical companies love to make 5 different medicines or 20 different medicines for each thing so that you're right. But no, there's one lifestyle medicine. So you're doing amazing, wonderful things. And that word failure, we often associate as a negative, but failure is how you grow and how you learn. And so if you feel like a failure, that means you're growing and learning. And, you know, just acknowledging.
Yeah, I think well here, see, her A1C was the lowest it's been in 10 years. So congratulations, that's phenomenal. And I'm going to give you a little bit of additional advice here. One is as you lose weight, your body's releasing triglycerides. It's the fatty acids, and that can drive up your LDL, which can drive your total cholesterol. So honestly, this could be a transition phase as you're losing weight. You may see this transient elevation in cholesterol. So I don't want you to be too discouraged there. The other piece of this is, like I said, the berberine is a really helpful. I can't remember the exact brand name that I did some research on. I can look it up here in a second. But berberine is a really helpful, and amla powder, the Terrasol, I believe, is a good brand. It's just basically Indian gooseberry dried powder. Do 1 or 2 teaspoons a day of that. And then you could do a Brazil nut per week. There's some really interesting research there. You do a couple of tablespoons of ground flaxseed daily and have soy products regularly. So soy is amazing. You have tempeh, tofu, soy curls. You could do the whole soybean edamame. And so any variety of soy milk, it doesn't matter. Anything that you can do there, because one, there's many benefits to women's health, breast health, bone health, but also it helps decrease cholesterol. And it'd be a great protein source for you as a diabetic and stabilizes blood sugars. It does really well. I love soy products, even though it's a little bit higher fat. These are good fats. It'll be fine. And so maybe that will help as well. But I hope that gives you a little bit more encouragement and gives you some other things that you can work on. But if you're a diabetic and you have high cholesterol, there is indication, right? We want to decrease your risk for any cardiovascular event. So, please be going open-minded as you discuss this with your doctor, because he may be, or she may be making these recommendations based on some very solid guidelines. And, maybe it's a bridge to where you are. So you reverse the diabetes, you see the cholesterol drop, and then you come off or something. But again, that's a personal conversation, but it's a conversation that both sides, you and your doctor, should be open-minded about.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Dr. Lori. And Anne chimes in, failure is data. Please journal to learn what works for you, sleep, mood, food, etc. Yeah, absolutely, Anne. Absolutely. And Rosemary said, yes, thank you, not diabetic, but high for pre-diabetic. Happy to go back to normal there. Wow. So Rosemary, amazing. You reversed your pre-diabetes, sounds like, with eating this way for 6 months. So keep up the great work. And yeah, I mean, sometimes numbers and results don't come. I tell patients, your weight is a lagging indicator of your health. It's what I'm doing today will determine my weight, a few months now or 6 months from now. And so you think about your behaviors. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about motivation and movement. I wanted to focus on that second piece, movement, and why I like to call it movement instead of exercise. I was somebody who, and this I think gets at the motivation piece too. I was somebody who for years, I should exercise. I really should exercise. And I was the guy who would go to the gym around New Year's and around my birthday and just wait in line for the treadmill. And guess what? That was the most ultimate chore in my life. It was like, wow, this is something I really should have to do, and I wasn't doing it. And so how do you think about movement in your life, Dr. Lori?
Well, I have a question for you, if you don't mind me. I'm just going to go back because I hear you saying you did these things, but now you're doing them. So what was the changing factor for you?
What was the changing thing? Well, yeah, I mean, as you know, I started becoming just more aware and mindful after starting a meditation practice. I became more aware about diet changed first. And I was eating like mostly whole food, plant-based diet for about a year and feeling great and having lots of energy. And then I revisited in my head, I said, maybe I should start exercising. And I did in that moment go to the gym, and I was like, you know what? I don't enjoy this. I really don't enjoy this. And so then I started running and tried different things. I started running
Yeah.
outside. We live near a city college, and there's a really beautiful track field. So I was like, oh, I'll run at the track field. And I was like, I don't like running. My knee hurts. Like, I don't like this. And so I went back to the drawing board, and I discovered this small gym in my, like, near my house. I think I had found it on Yelp a few years before, but it was like actually in like a high school. They rented part of the space, and it was centered around lifting and strength training, something I had never really done before. And you kind of show up, and there's 2 trainers circulating, and they have a different workout every day. But it was really focused on like building up your strength and building up your form, doing correct form. And so I went into, because I think in the past I did it because I was like, oh, it'll help me lose weight, or it'll be good for my health. It's something I should do. Now I was like, wow, this is something I could feel myself after even a week or two. It was hard for me, but I could feel myself getting stronger. I would lift the grocery bag from the car, and I'd be like, oh, this is easier.
So strong.
Yeah. What is going on? And so then it became, I think, and I made friends there very quickly.
Awesome.
I mean, I made friends with the trainers. One of them tells all these dad jokes, and I would just look forward to going there. I was in my, late 30s at that point. And you tell yourself these stories like, oh, I'm at an age where I'm not going to make new friends. I used to tell myself that. I have no idea why. I had a very like closed. And then suddenly I was making all these new friends, and they would do, they would have like sometimes meet up on Friday nights and things like that. I'm like, wow, I have this like, social crew now. And so it motivated me to keep going back to the gym. I would always joke like, oh, I showed up to hang out, and then I remembered that I have to exercise. But no, that's
awesome.
it. That's a change. And then do that long enough. And I believe this to anyone. You start moving long enough, and then you start experiencing the positive benefits. You start experiencing improvement in your mood. You start experiencing improvement in your energy. You start experiencing, all these things that I didn't realize that. And I was like, this ain't no chore. This is a gift in my life. Which, by the way, that whole concept comes from this wonderful researcher, Michelle Seeger, who studies motivation and exercise. When I saw her speak a few years ago, and she framed it that way, she said, we've got to help people frame movement as a gift instead of a chore. So really talk to people about how it's going to help them feel better, and not, just like, I ask people, do you want to feel better? And no one says no. Anyway,
I love that.
It.
Yeah, no one says no to wanting to feel better. I have yet to say exactly. It'd be a rare and odd person who said, no, I don't want to feel better. So there's another question here from Debbie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, from Debbie. Debbie is a member of one of my groups. I'm discouraged too, because I have worked hard to do 100% whole food plant-based, and now I have chronic gastritis. I am now on a new stomach drug, Protonix. I wanted to stop taking more drugs. Debbie, yes, I know that's frustrating and that's disappointing, because one of your goals, and I think a lot of people, is not to be on more prescription medications. And, as you've shared, you're having a lot of stomach issues, and your doctor prescribed that because there's inflammation in your stomach right now. I believe confidently that is not being caused by your wonderful, incredible adherence to eating this way. And I'm not obviously going to go into your history, but there's probably other factors contributing that we've talked about. And I'm just hearing that. I'm hearing you're feeling discouraged. And I also know, and I know, there's a lot of positives that you have experienced, but yeah, you're going through a little harder time right now. And that, that too will pass. I do believe that.
I think it just echoes though. Yeah. And I think this is a really important thing to address, because It says my East-West doctor said things may be coming up that I had not been aware of before. I don't know what that means, but specifically, but the one thing I really want to make people understand, so we live a life, right? So we're born hopefully in a very healthy package, and things happen over a course of years and decades, right? We make choices, we're taught, we learn a lifestyle. Maybe we're blessed with people who address health in their family and make healthy choices and feed your children well. Maybe there's places that maybe you did struggle. Maybe your folks, were working 3 jobs and you were eating fast food and a latchkey kid one or whatever. So we don't know what those habits are for decades. And then you discover this wonderful thing called a plant-based diet. And you hear these phenomenal transformational stories of people, young, middle-aged, and old, just alike. But the piece here is that I really just want to understand is that there's a place for you to be healthy as we can get you at this point in time, right? So there may be a place that you come, if we get a 65-year-old who's been a diabetic for 30 years, maybe we get them off of, 3 medications down to 1, so that's a win. And that's going to be the best we can do for that person at that time because there's so much history. So I also, again, chronic gastritis can have a lot of causes. So you just want to be mindful that you're making amazing, like I said, other investments in your other total health. So, but be accepting of the current situation and surrendering to that and being okay with just knowing you're making the best decisions possible is going to relieve the suffering that you're inflicting upon yourself because we feel like, oh, we failed because we haven't stopped medications. That's not true. You're winning every day you make a choice to eat something healthy that nourishes your body. Now, will it get the outcome that optimally we want everyone to have, which is no medications? No, it's not going to happen for everyone. We're still humans. Even people who eat a whole food place are still going to get cancer. They're still going to die. Things are going to happen. But the journey of seeing that you're making those choices and being proud and owning the fact that you're investing in your health, that is your win. Okay, so don't judge yourself and don't cause undue stress and suffering that's unnecessary. It's just so very important that we reframe what's a win here.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a reminder that we don't have control over everything.
Yeah.
And, we have control over our behaviors, and that does have a lot of influence. But there are other things that will certainly come up. And that I echo that. And then Debbie says, this may have been here. I think that's what her East-West doctor was saying, that this may have already been there and that she wasn't aware of it. And now I can work on it and succeed in dealing with it. That's a really awesome attitude there, Debbie. Yeah, I totally agree.
That's great.
Scott says, hi, Dr. Rock. I'm a new patient of yours for Monday. Hi, Scott. When I switched to mostly whole food plant-based diet earlier this year, my cholesterol went from 205 down to 147.
Awesome.
Scott, lowest ever. My problem is sticking with it. Any advice? Yes. Well, Scott, we'll get into this when we talk. But it's really, it should, it's really, it's doubling down on the things you enjoy about it. It's really asking yourself, like, and connecting with all the good things it's made, how you're feeling better and the food and how you're enjoying the food, and then just really focusing on bringing more of that into your life. I really do that. I emphasize, like, how do you just grow the pot of what makes you feel good? Because if you start really focusing on, like, now I no longer can have this, I no longer can have this, I no longer, human beings, as human beings, we've all experienced this. Like, we rebel against, like, when I was a kid and my parents said, clean your room, I would just throw my clothes. I'm not cleaning my room. Right? We do that for ourselves too. There's this natural rebellion. So really it's focusing on how good it makes you feel and all the good ways you've discovered to enjoy this. And then, like I say, double down on that. So, but we'll talk more, Scott. And any other thoughts you have, Dr. Lori?
Yeah, no, I love that you're saying, double down on the what makes you feel good and feed that dopamine piece. And remember how you felt when you first, I want you to revisit when you saw that 147 number, like, what did that feel like? That was amazing, right? So remember that, write it down. The other piece of this is life. There's going to be obstacles, so let's plan for them. So where do you struggle to stick with it? So is it when you go to work? Is it when you're traveling? Is it you're at home because someone else doesn't want to partake in this diet? Tell us. Is it when you drive by the Golden Arches? Whatever that is, make a plan to win, right? So if you're planning ahead, you're not going to feel the stress of that encounter or that. So then it's not going to feel like a struggle, right? You're not going to feel the friction because you've already built a plan in place to know what you can do. And the thing is, the more you do this, the easier it gets. Okay, that I can't tell you enough. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So I've been in plant-based eating for 11 years. And honestly, I don't even remember. And I was in my 40s. So early 40s when I transitioned. And honestly, I don't even recall what it was like to eat another way. So I just really want you to really plan ahead so you don't feel the stress and you're less likely to falter or take a little detour and come right back on. And to know that if you do falter and you do fall off the wagon or whatever you want to call it, it's not a failure. It's an opportunity to learn. Kind of like someone was mentioning up here in one of our comments, this is data, right? Data is a great way to look at this, or it's just an opportunity to lean in and go, why were you here to teach me and how can I do better next time? Or what can I do to improve my situation so that I can align what I want to do with my actions? And so that's phenomenal.
That's great advice. And actually, Scott says, finding meals I enjoy is the hardest part. And I love to explore that with you. There's so many ways to make this food enjoyable and flavorful and super delicious and do it in a convenient and easy way. That's the name of the game, because there's a lot of elaborate plant-based meals out there, and they don't have to be. It's like the joke is, what's a vegan's best friend is a good sauce.
Oh, that's for sure.
I
love
you
that.
can make any combination of then beans, greens, vegetables, whole grains, like tasty, with a good sauce. So we'll get, and you know what, at Mora, we have you, because we have a whole list of sauces and dressings and all whole food plant-based. So you make a couple of those on the weekend and you prep a few things, and then suddenly you're eating flavorful, delicious food. Scott's looking forward to Monday. Awesome. And then DG says, enjoying the weight loss masterclass. Great bite-sized lessons, cover all aspects. Appreciate how everyone on the Mora team contributed. Mindfulness is my challenge. Eating without TV, meditation, breath. Well, DG, thank you for that testimonial, unsolicited testimonial. Appreciate it. Yeah, we did put, as Dr. Lori mentioned, the whole medical team came together and has put together this masterclass. And there's also now a version, a course that you can opt for that is disease reversal. So if weight loss is not your primary goal or not something, we have some patients who are actually trying to gain weight, for example. So we have a disease reversal masterclass now as well. And you can access both of those at our website, mora.com. Up to the top, masterclass. And good site for SOS recipes. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you cut out. I don't know if I was just me, but I missed what you said there, the last sentence.
Oh, no, yeah. I was just gonna say, Rosemary had one last comment about Well Your World. She said it's a good site for salt. Yeah. Are you familiar with Well Your World?
No,
Lori?
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Oh, it's this guy Dylan. Oh, he's great. He wears all these like plant meme shirts, and he makes really easy recipes. I tell patients about it all the time. And he sells some sauces, and I actually bought some recently, and I really like them. They're all salt, oil, and sugar-free.
Okay.
Refined sugar-free. So
cool.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody who asked us questions and comments today, everyone who watched either live or watching this recorded or listening. And thank you, Dr. Lori, for having this conversation today. That was really wonderful.
Yes, as always.
We're so ready and wanting to help everyone that wants to take control of their health, reverse their chronic disease, lose weight, and really get themselves out of this hamster wheel, which is our sick care system, And yeah, so visit us at mora.com.
And just real quick, Maya or Demetric, thank you. She's asked us, I gotta address this. Hello, is plant-based diet good for insulin resistance? Yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
As you can see through Debbie's comments, she reversed her pre-diabetes, it sounds, within the last 6 months. So if you go to mora.com and click on the weight loss, even the disease reversal, they're similar or the same videos. We just pulled out some of the weight loss focus for people who don't necessarily want to listen to that. So it is the same message. So you don't necessarily have to go to do a new thing and learn new stuff. But yes, Maya, please check out the free master course. Everything you'll need to do to reverse your diabetes or insulin resistance is right there. And if you are on medications like insulin or certain things that can lower blood sugar very quickly, oral medications, please be mindful of that and keep a very close eye on your blood sugar. And if they get low, you need to contact your doctor because you may not require those anymore. So just want to, so you're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that. And yeah, this was a wonderful conversation. So we'll see you back here next week, and have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful rest of your week. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Have a good one.